What'd you guys think?
Yeah!
I'm super excited. Yeah, this was a labor of love between all of us. We bonded over Nancy. I've known Paige for 8 years. We met on a Nightmare forum, and I met these other two lovely ladies through the legacy of Nancy Thompson. And of course you could tell we had a special narration who returned, as you might remember in Wes Craven's Your Nightmare. He said to Heather, would you play Nancy one last time? And I think we got that in a little bit there. So,
Thank you,
so it was awesome. And we want to thank Wes so much, because without him, of course, none of this would have been possible. So give him a round of applause. Wes Craven was certainly, I don't want to talk too much because I want to cry. What do you guys have to say?
I don't think that without Wes, anybody in this room would be here. So I think that he was so influential and so important to all of us. And when I was 12 years old, I used to make like home movies with my friends on my grandma's like 1992 JVC big recorder. And I always thought that like someday I was going to meet Wes. I wanted to be just like Wes, and I never did. And then when he and then when he passed away, I was like, wow, I'm not gonna get my chance to do this. So we went to Horror Hound, and our friend had premiered a film there, and it really just kind of lit a fire underneath us. And I looked at these girls and said, Nancy needs her story. We need to get her story out there. We have to share her story. So that's what we did. And we've been very blessed on this project. We've had a lot of help with people. This whole entire section right here, every single person in here has done something and donated time. We're very gracious and thankful that Heather has supported us and that she has donated her time to be a part of this. And we thank you guys for coming out.
Thank you.
We're gonna answer a couple questions.
Harry, where'd you go?
Do we know where Harry went?
Harry disappeared.
Sorry, I'm doing some video adjustment.
That's okay.
We're gonna answer a couple questions.
Yeah, we're gonna have a couple questions.
Ask questions.
Yeah.
We'll like answer some things. Yet again, we do apologize. We do apologize for the way that it was really bright on this screen. When it's online and all that stuff, it doesn't look that way at all. It's just because it's the projector.
And it goes live on YouTube tomorrow at noon. So if you want to watch it how it's meant to be,
Yeah.
check it out.
And I have to say, hold on. And I have to say one more thing. That scene that almost completely whited out, that is actually the bridge scene from Nightmare 1. When her and Glenn, it's not the bridge.
It looks like it.
But it looks just like it. So it looks just like it. So that scene was supposed to be a homage to part 1. So it was our only thing that we were going to put in there was a homage. So.
All right, Harry.
So first of all, my apologies for the projector. It's a it's not a screen projector.
Thank you,
it's
Harry.
more of doing like backdrops and presentations, PowerPoints and stuff like that. That's why we had Jason run the film festival. Because as you can tell, my stuff's not really film festival quality. But to go ahead and start, let me direct this towards Dee. We know that Nancy was written to be the heroine that was not supposed to fall. In her first encounter with Freddy, she falls down the stairs. Why do you think that she falls?
Well, we essentially wrote that part because I don't know if you guys have seen I Am Nancy or read, but it was, she was written not to be the type of character that falls, because it's like, why do all these girls fall all the time? And so she falls in our movie, and it might seem, okay, so she falls, that's totally not Nancy, but it's meant to be that way because in this point in time, Nancy has lost everything. She's even lost what makes her Nancy. And what does a non-Nancy do? A non-Nancy falls. So in that point, she has lost her Nancy-ness, and so that's why she takes the tumble.
So let me ask you, what's the difference between playing Nancy and cosplaying Nancy?
So I've been doing like the pajamas since like 2009, 2010. I started with a little white shirt, and I would color the little flowers on there, and then eventually I got those pajamas, which are the ones that I wore when I introduced I Am Nancy back in 2011 at Days of the Dead, Indianapolis. And when you cosplay, you just pretend to be somebody else, but in this instance, I really wanted to play it from the heart. I wanted to try to be the character that I loved, but I didn't want to copy Heather. I wanted to be inspired by her, but to not copy her, so it was certainly different. You have to become a character, and it's very difficult because I believe that Heather is the only Nancy ever. And so it was very difficult for me to try to portray that character as is, so I hope you guys liked it.
She did an amazing job, right, guys?
Right.
So I guess this could be a four-part, answer from each of you. What do you guys do to keep the film true to the story that fans already know about?
So true to the story, we wanted to be careful. We didn't want to incorporate too much of the films into our film. We wanted to kind of tell our own version of what happened, but there are some key events that we wanted to incorporate. I don't know if you guys are fans of Andy Mangle's Innovation Comics. If you guys have read those comics, there's two characters that are in there that are Nancy's roommates in college. So we wanted to show Nancy's college life, so we incorporated Sybil and Priscilla.
And New Line had commissioned Innovation Publishing to do the comics Nightmares on Elm Street 91 to 92 as the official lead into Freddy's Dead, so it is canon. And we took a couple panels, so it was Nancy's roommates, Sybil and Priscilla, and her being committed until she kind of come to terms with it in a sense. And then also her living on. So Nancy does, in fact, live on in the comics. So she doesn't die at the end of part 3. And the only way that she can truly battle Freddy is to be on his level, and that is to be the good version, guarding the dreams.
We also wanted to include things like the dream doll, the Malaysian dream doll. We thought it was just a cute little touch nod in Nightmare 3, where she just looks at it almost like she has a memory of it. And so we thought, why not just incorporate that in our film and show her getting it? And to the costume department of Dream Warriors, we would like to officially thank you for switching Nancy's streak, because that's for no reason whatsoever. So we thought we would explain that. So you can't tell because of the lighting, but in it, Nancy goes through the trauma of all that's happening at the place, and another streak comes on the other side. So she has 2 streaks at the end of the first half of our film. So when she goes into the new half, that's where Joel says to her, "You're the scars to prove it. The dye won't work," and she's like, "No, on the right side." So we're trying to explain why that is the way it is.
And it totally does make sense, because the actor who played Joel, Chad, has a little gray spot in the back of his hair. And so I asked him, I was like, does dye work? And he said, nope. And I was like, So, I don't know, does anybody here have any questions that they want to ask? Yes, Christopher.
Thank you for saying my name. Trust me, I don't need a microphone. I am
Okay,
not a
we're
business. I love all the callbacks. It makes me think about, the callbacks kind of reminded me, it's done very lovingly, kind of like what Force Awakens did, where it's like, oh, it's a callback, but it's not exactly the same. And Nancy Strong beginning kind of reminds me of what Max is going through in Mad Max Fury Road, where it's kind of like the ghost of his past just come and just punch him in the face over and over, you let us die and all that stuff. But the moment that I feel to your credit, I feel like that in the beginning, you're kind of Heather Langenkamp's Nancy Thompson, and you don't become your Nancy Thompson until the second half. And that's why I think the second half is really strong. I especially love that little moment with when you're talking to just the camaraderie in the party. That was one of my favorite scenes, because it was just very small and very quiet, and those were my favorite parts of the film. But that's not really a question, is it?
No. What's your question?
I'm sorry,
Okay. Thank you for saying all that. Thank you.
Yeah, but my question is, what drew you inspiration to the pacing? The writing is very well done. The pacing of it all is well done.
What's your question?
The writing. When did you come up with the inspiration
for writing it?
Oh, well, the inspiration was first to tell a great story that we would hope Wes would be proud of. I'm not one for public speaking, that's why I'm a writer.
So what happened was, I wanted to tell Nancy's story, and these girls are my best friends. We've been friends forever, and we could rule the world. And I said to them, let's tell a Nancy story. Went home from the convention. They thought I was kind of joking. And I said, no, I'm serious. So they're like, okay, we're on board. So I sent the first draft, like the first opening, which has changed because Deandra actually wrote this beautiful opening that we saw, but the quote was still in there. And I said, this quote is what I want the basis of our film to be. I want to show Nancy's struggle, and I want to show her overcoming this and becoming that strong, powerful woman that she is in Nightmare 3. So that was the basis for writing, so we just wanted to tie the gaps together with that.
Oh yeah, I need the microphone. I don't matter.
All right, sorry. I'm super tired. It's ironic, right? I thought I was gonna fall asleep in the movie. I just want to say that it was. I really like the part where you guys have the hypnosil, and then it's like the Freddy colors, because it speaks to the character to think that he's actually playing with them. He doesn't really know, like in Dream Warriors, he's not really actually aware of the hypnosil. Not like in this, where he's like, you think you're gonna take it, I make you think you're taking it, but actually I'm taking you to where I want you to take. I want you to go. I just thought that was a good point. But now my question to you is: there's 3 shots in the movie that show that you have vocabulary for direction. The first one is the one with the revolving shot when they're all at the, which is reminiscent of Dream Warriors a lot. When they go around, right? You also have the one where in the middle where Nancy's talking to what is a being a boyfriend and her roommate, and then the camera slowly pulls back and the guy's on the side, right? That shows that you know what direction is. And the other one, of course, is when the camera goes forward and then he backs up and then you're somewhere else. Long, tiring. Can you talk about some of your influences as a filmmaker and what you aspire to be?
So those scenes, this was a collective, a group effort. So there was no specific real title. So Michelle and I both decided to co-direct. Decided to co-direct this, and she was going to do the cinematography, and I was just going to make sure everything was lined up and directing actors, and this is what I want you to do. And so those shots, because we had also wrote it in our heads, we knew how we were going to film it. So we knew this is what we wanted for the film. Was the question our direction going as a
Oh no, I'm saying because you had 3 really good shots in the movie. A lot of times fan films, right, are just stoic, just kind of like old Kevin Smith, just put it right. It's like you're filming a play. Can you talk about some of your influences as a filmmaker, or whoever is the majority director? I thought that was you.
So our influences for filmmaking is, I mean,
like who are some of your favorite directors other than Wes Craven? Clearly,
I like Wes Craven. I like Quentin Tarantino. I think he's a really good director. I'm gonna let Michelle take this one because she wrote that spinning scene.
Actually, a lot of the inspiration came from watching YouTube videos on how to film, because I had never done it before, aside from just with my iPhone. And so a lot of it came from YouTube tutorials, so thank you, tutorials.
right.
Thank you very much.
And if we have one more question. Anybody? No? Freddie, do you want to come up and say something to the crowd?
Ready!
Close it out for us, Kruger.
We'll take it out here. Whatever you do, don't fall asleep!